Hi guys and gals, today we're going to talk about the exercise that's going to do a lot of good to your body. First of all, it's going to develop your glutes and your lower back at the same time. Second of all, you do not need any equipment, you just need some kind of a bench or something that just brings you off the ground, so nothing special. Third of all, it can help people who have got back problems. So if you've got disc issues, if you've got any lower back problems, it's gonna help you. Fourth, it's gonna help you stretch the hip flexors at the same time when you're doing the exercise. So if you spend a lot of time bending your knees, either by sitting on a computer or at work or anything else, studying anything else, or if you just spend a lot of time sleeping with your legs bent and you cannot do anything about it, it's just subconsciously happens, it's gonna help you stretch those hip flexors as well. I've got a video about core muscles that I talk about the hip flexors as well. I'm gonna put a link up in this video and you're gonna watch that video and understand what I mean. And it has also other benefits as well. But anyway, first I'm gonna just talk a little bit about the anatomy and physiology of the main muscles involved in this exercise, and then we're gonna go through the details a little bit more and do the exercise as well. So, as mentioned, glutes and lower back. To be more specifically, the gluteus maximus and also the medius and minimus are gonna be involved as well, but mainly the gluteus maximus is gonna be involved. That muscle is mainly doing three things when it comes to your legs. It helps you to extend the hip, so when you bring one leg back or you push the hip forward, you're gonna use the gluteus maximus. Second of all, when you externally rotate the hip, so when I do this, I feel my glute is getting activated. And third of all, it helps in abduction of the hip. So if I do this, I feel my glute getting activated. I already have a video about best glute exercise ever. I'm gonna put a link up in this video. That video, when you check that out, you see that all of these three components are happening at the same time. We don't have all of that at the same time in here, and specifically we do not have any added resistance, so we cannot overload it like that exercise. But still, this is a good exercise. We're still using those three methods to some extent, and you've got to consider that we're working on the lower back as well. And also this exercise is bilateral, so it's gonna help you save time as well. And actually, because this is bilateral, that's the reason that you get the benefit for the lower back, because you can play with the hip a lot more. So that's the glutes, the lower back. More specifically, we're talking about the paraspinal muscle groups. So the three main muscle groups that help you extend the back is gonna be activated in this exercise. I already have a video about back extensions that I talk about the paraspinals. I'm gonna put a link up in this video as well if you're watching from my YouTube channel. Aside from that, we're gonna get the activation of the deeper muscles as well, like the multifidus and the rotators as well. The muscles that are mainly, they are called the transversus spinalis muscle groups. They're a little bit deeper, although we do not have that much of a rotation in the spine, but still they're gonna be a little bit activated. I'm gonna put a link up in this video about the exercise bird dog that I have done a few weeks ago, and you're gonna understand about those muscles as well. Anyway, the lower back, the paraspinal muscles, and also a little bit of the transversus spinalis muscle group is going to be activated, and they help you a lot with stability. So they help you with keeping your back healthier. They help you with transmitting force better when it comes to the core, so you're gonna be more powerful as well. There are mainly two ways that you can do this exercise. There are also other names for these variables as well. Some people call it leg kickback, some people call it leg extension exercise, some people call it reverse hip thrust, a lot of other names. But anyway, first variation is gonna be this. So you come to the end of a bench, you should be able to bring your knees forward. So if the width on the bench is really a lot, you're not going to be able to do this properly. So find something that's a little bit narrower, so when you bend and hinge on the bench, so remember that the legs should be free. So do not come all the way up in here. Go all the way back so you can hinge properly without the bench being on your way. So make sure it's narrow, make sure you go all the way back. You're gonna bring the knees forward, make sure you grab on something as well, and then you're not just gonna kick back, you're gonna kick back and up. So this. As you see, I'm extending the hip, so I bring back, the hip is getting extended. Also, because my legs are out and I do this, I'm getting a little bit of abduction of the hip and also at the same time, external rotation. So the glutes are going to be activated, all of them, maximus, medius, minimus, and at the same time, as you notice, the hip was coming off the bench, so I was kicking all the way up, and that works on the lower back. Now, if this is a little bit hard for you, there is another variation that you can do. This time, you're gonna keep your leg straight. So again, the same position, so this time, if the bench is a little bit wider, there is no problem because you're not going to bring the knee forward, but come back, make sure the leg has some degree to come down, so the glutes are getting stretched, the hip is getting flexed to some degree, and it's going to help you initiate in the beginning better as well, and also after the contraction, it's better to have a stretch on the muscle as well. Anyway, this time you keep it straight, up, down, up, down, up, down. I'm getting the stretch on my hip flexors as well. And make sure, if you want to get the benefit of the lower back, you bring the hip off the bench. There are not a lot of exercises that work on the lower back from the hip position. So, of course, there are a lot of exercises like the hyperextension machine or doing back rows or deadlifts or things like that, that mainly work from you extending your back from the thoracic. So you bend from the higher part and you extend from the thoracic spine as well, but this is different. This is extending from the pelvis, so it's going to be a new challenge.